I get so confused about why I'm even alive sometimes. And I don't feel that way all the time. So when I do, at least, well, I'm gonna kind of try to capture what I'm feeling right now, or what I was feeling. Uh, it's just kind of like I've sunken back into this body, you know? Um, until I fall asleep. So, which I could do whenever I wanted to, honestly. But I keep coming back here. It's like I can't die. I could if I wanted to, but like without like the universe isn't killing me. The universe has not killed me yet. Um, myself included. Like I am also part of the universe, so nothing has killed me. Like I'm right here, and maybe that doesn't really settle in as much as it does for me or to other people. Maybe it doesn't settle in as much for other people as it does for me, but like sometimes it's very daunting because it's literally just like, all right, well, I am literally right here. Um, which means why am I here instead of anywhere else? And I think most people walk around with the general assumption that things have just kind of Darwined their way here and that we've, like, yeah, that it's kind of chance. Not like exactly chance because it's chance with like evolutionary flair, so like survival of the fittest chance, but that those mutations are chance and that like death would be mostly chance, that the things that are not chance are things that happen over long periods of time, not things that happen in moments. I think that that's very funny, that people believe in. It's like we believe in the exact opposite things because people believe that like moments are like theirs for the taking, um, but they also think that there's like that like there's like grand moral arcs, and not even if they're like moral arcs necessarily, but like people believe in things like gravity. Like they believe that there are like persistent things across moments that like determine next moments. They believe this, but simultaneously they believe that the moment in and of itself is theirs to garner, which is, I think, the complete opposite of the correct way or of a good way to interpret the world. And it honestly feels a lot like the difference between like autistic and allistic people too. But it's like, no, things don't persist over every single moment all of time. Gravity is not a consequence of the universe. At all. And while in the moment isn't yours, like I don't know, maybe what I have to say in terms of that breaks down in my ability to express it in words. But people just think they have control over the moment when they don't. The moment is the only thing that's happening. It's oscillating around you completely haphazardly, godly, and it has been for all of time. Like that's the point, is that the moment isn't just like this moment. It's not like the moment as it's written in like the English dictionary. It's larger than that. It actually, the moment, if you stare at it long enough, you realize that there's not discontinuity between one moment and the next, so it is all one moment. And if you look long enough, and I know this sounds stupid, but if you look long enough, it is all one moment. Um, People get so mad at me for hating on science and the scientific method, and they're like, well, if you're not going to use science, then like what are you going to use? And I'm like, use what God gave you. God damn it. Like, not to sound overly fucking like religious, but just use what the fuck God gave you. My tools are right here, alright? I don't need a goddamn microscope. I don't need a telescope. I don't need all this shit. I don't need all this fucking shit. I'm not trying to outsmart my own existence. Does that make sense? Why would I do that? Why can't I just explore, like, what it means to be me? Is it not psychedelic enough to have hands? Terrence McKenna says it all the time. It's a great Terrence McKenna quote. He's sitting there and he's talking about, um, like, just psychedelics in general and, like, what it's like to take a large dose. And he's like, at some point, you're just sitting there and you're really stoned and you're just going, well, by God, what even is a hand? That's a bad quoting of the quote. That's not exactly how it goes. But either way, like, the idea is really just that, like, being alive in and of itself, is more than enough to think about. On its own, without prodding the thing or asking the thing for things or jostling it or making it fit into holes or squeezing stuff out or any of this shit that we do with science where we're like trying to wring out the answers, where we take something and we cut it up into things and then we examine the pieces and we try to see the whole picture. It doesn't work. I explain it to this people, or I explain it this way to people a lot too, which is just that I explain it this way to a lot of people too, which is just that, like, I believe what science does is, yeah, it's like a puzzle. They take something that they think they can't look at in one whole piece. And so they make it into a puzzle and they have all the little pieces and then they examine all the pieces and they're like, okay, we have all these pieces, and then they put it back together, right? And then they show you this whole picture, right? And if you've seen a completed puzzle versus the picture of what the puzzle is supposed to be, similar images. But like, you're not gonna convince me. Well, no, it's gonna take someone come at me, someone fucking convince me, because I would love it. But it's gonna take a lot to convince me that the scientific method doesn't necessarily break things up, and that by breaking things up, it doesn't necessarily lose some of the meaning. Like, you cannot tell me that when I look at a puzzle, I won't see the lines. I'm gonna see the lines, and where I've gotten to in science is that I've seen the fucking lines, and they're bullshit, and I know that someone's feeding me a bullshit puzzle, instead of just like letting me stare at the photo. Or better yet, honestly, what's even scarier is that the way empiricism and science has begun to function in America is that it's not just it's not even just that you're taking away the joy of looking at the picture and instead you see all these lines. A better metaphor would honestly be that, like, scientists sit inside and they have like a picture of the world and then they've turned it into a puzzle and then they put it together like fucking puzzle pieces in a puzzle. When really what we ought to be doing is, if it's a goddamn puzzle of a waterfall or some shit, you should be at that waterfall. Like, and I think that's something else about science, is people don't realize that there's like an depth of intensity it obviously misses. In the same way that if you were trying to represent a 3D space on 2D, like in a 2D way, like you are going to lose a dimension of it. You're going to lose depth. Literally. By definition of the English language, you're gonna lose depth. And it's just true. When you transfer mediums like this, you distort things. Like, I'm tired of acting like that's not true. We know that that's true. We know that the movie version of a book is not the same. We know that sculpting like something that was like a 2D drawing is not going to create the same fucking thing. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? We know this. We know that regardless of something's essence, if you change its form, it changes. Um, so I don't know why you're asking me to take little cupfuls of life and take them into a lab and examine them as if me taking a cupful of it didn't automatically change the composition of it. Because it did. As soon as I did that, everything changed. Um, so it's like if I'm ever gonna know what's going on here, I have to stop taking out cupfuls. And people hate it. People hate that science is wrong. Um, but it is. And it sucks. I'm sorry. It's not that it's wrong factually. Like, yeah, we go around the sun, sort of. And yeah, like, gravity is real. But does gravity have to exist? I don't know, and I'm not playing that game with you all. I'm not gonna sit around for all of my fucking life pretending like I'm absolutely okay with the conclusion that gravity is just real. Um, Cause I've flown! Fuck y'all, I've flown. Like, my soul is flown. Like, on drugs, sure. But also, my brain is pretty fucking neurodivergent. It does some wild ass shit on its own. And it's just like, I'm very aware that my soul can do things that are far above whatever the fuck these laws are talking about. They're certainly not applicable in my dreams, and that shit's me too. So, do we just want to use gravity as like a standpoint for like how reality slash so like not dream world, so like the dream of the planet works? Because in that case, it could still go away. Again, I would like to point out there is no gravity in my dreams, nor at least there does not need be. And that's important. Like, do people not recognize that significance? Like that's a place that exists. That's a place where I am, where gravity is not. People are so stupid. They just think that like dreams are dreams and I'm like making it up. How could I exist in a place that didn't doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I'm not completely convinced, honestly, that gravity and desire and attraction aren't just the same thing. Um, I think it's appalling how little we talk about the fact that like good religion focuses on I wonder what I found so appalling. The world may never know.